Hello everyone and welcome to another video with me, Rays, and today we got the rest of the Final Fantasy IV news. Man, have I been waiting a while for this. So Global got Warrior of Light this week, and now JP is getting the rest of its stuff. Basically, Kain and Rosa and Demon Wall. That is going to be the majority of this update, as well as an event. So going to cover all of that, but a couple of things. First of all, congratulations to Final Fantasy Brave Exvius for getting Kingdom Hearts 3 collaboration. Didn't see that coming this month. But also, want to cover one other thing really quickly, and that has to do with something that I made a video really recently about, which is the Final Fantasy JP side of War of the Visions. They went about this a very weird way, but the War of the Visions on the JP side during its half anniversary had a voting event for voting for who they thought was the most popular character, and that character was going to get something special. And turns out that when I made that video, I actually had to record it multiple times, because when I looked at the voting website, the details were different from what they had announced on stream, and so that made it kind of hard to record it. And turns out the information that Alan gave on its live stream was incorrect, which is a really weird thing for a digital voting contest where you think all the numbers would have just been automatically tallied, but I guess errors happen. Anyway, Glassy still won if you're interested in it, and Leela came in second. Little Leela came in second. And third was Venera, with fourth being Mont, fifth, Boobs McGee. If you don't know who Boobs McGee is, check out that video. And Adir coming in sixth, Minerva in seventh, and I think the rest of the list was mostly the same. But kind of funny, just that they gave out the information in their official live stream, and it turned out it was wrong. But enough delaying, let's talk about what you guys are really here for, the news about Kain, Rosa, and Demon Wall. And let's start with Kain, first of all, taking a look at him. Primary job is basically Dragoon. It is called the Baron's Dragoon, referencing Kain's original alliance in Final Fantasy IV. But yeah, he is basically the Baron's Dragoon, and that basically tells you also that his primary class is going to be Dragoon, maybe with a few special twists and abilities that you don't normally see in other Dragoons, such as Victoria. Secondary job, we finally have answer to these sub-jobs, though. Viking as well as Paladin. Now, a couple things to note that I really think about here. First of all, Viking, I'm really happy to see, because it is a secondary offensive class. I would have almost guessed Soldier at one point, because it probably would have fit better, or maybe Ninja in here, but it turns out Viking. Viking is usually pretty good. Viking has a nice attack buff. It has some nice attacks in it itself. It has a different type of slash, or damage type, I should say, than the slash damage, as opposed to Pierce on his main job. Not quite sure how that'll synergize, but the buffs that we can get, and potentially the passives as well from Viking class, should work really well for Kain, who is primarily a DPS. I think that him having that kind of really strong offensive passive from Viking, which is usually attack and defense up and evasion down, I think it's probably going to be pretty good. The evasion doesn't really matter anyway. Him being a dark elemental character, Holy's probably going to be still a little bit of a sticking point for every dark character in the future, so there's not really even any point making him an evasion type. Second tertiary job, though, is Paladin, and I have to say that Paladin is nice to see. It's not going to be a speed class, so I think he's probably going to have to rely on Viking and his Dragoon for most of his speed and potentially extra movement. But Paladin is definitely going to bring some advantages. It could bring some defense stat. It could bring actually quite a bit of HP. He might get Saint's Heal. He could get Taunting Blade. He could get... I believe that's right. But I think that there is some good potential here to make him a pretty bruiser-based character, kind of in the way Cecil is. But I think the primary thing that the sub-jobs tell me is that pinning all of the hopes on what his main job's passives will be. Paladin's probably going to give him an HP and defense one. Viking will probably give him an offensive one and potentially a defensive one. But the big question for me is he going to get a movement passive? Because that's one of the things I think he's really going to need. He could end up with a 3-2 jump movement, and that would be perfectly fine. I don't think that would be bad at all. So yeah, I'm gonna say that I think that is one that I'm really hoping that he has for passives. And the second passive I really hope he has is piercing. Some kind of attack up and piercing attack. Defense penetration. That's basically my hope for him. Taking a look at it, we already know about his limit burst, but interestingly, two of the abilities he gets seem to be relatively similar to Glassy's. We do know that he can cause confusion. We do know that he can reduce the power of healing with some of his attacks. And he does have the cross jump that Glassy has as well, which from my experience has been pretty useful. So overall, pretty happy with how Kane's looking. Really want to see what his support abilities, his green abilities are in the main part of his kit, but looking good so far. Not quite as speedy as I was hoping. I think speed is probably out, but if he's can take a holy hit or two, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. All right. And continuing on to our next character, Rosa. Rosa, primary job is kind of Baron's white mage, and for every prediction I made, this always turns out to be wrong a lot of the time. So second thing you're going to notice, her secondary job is white mage, and her tertiary job is black mage. I was kind of expecting green or that. That's interesting. So let's get into what I think is the advantages of white mage. I think the advantage of white mage, given the fact that she has status effect prevention in her kit, we already know that's in her primary job from the live stream. White mage here is going to be, I think, really nice. It's going to give her some extra healing options. She is going to be a good, solid white mage. Probably we won't see any healing abilities in her primary job. Or at least very little outside of her limit burst. That also the fact we know that Holy is in her main job. That means that probably her big abilities in White Mage will be a Rise and a really big healing spell. The other thing that I'm really looking forward, her support ability for White Mage should be the Nullification of Doom. So overall, she should be one of the, period, the most status effect resistant characters we've seen in the entire game, and that will automatically make her really strong. So tertiary job of black mage, passive wise, going to be really nice to get a big magic boost from this job. I don't think there's really much else to say. I think that's going to be essentially what you're going to get out of black mage in her kit. And yeah, if she gets like a 50-60% attack boost from that for magic, great. That sounds awesome. Continuing on, we're probably also going to see the usual kind of things, Sapira, Toad, and some ice spells. That's probably going to make up the majority of her Black Mage kit, and I'm totally fine with that. And I'll come back to that in a second, because her primary job is the Baron's White Mage. But from what I can see, the two attacks that we know that ability possesses, first of all, it has a ranged attack, an archer ranged attack, which is already an offensive option, but the second one is holy as well. So it's looking like her primary job and probably her AI will be much more focused on DPS rather than healing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the AI couldn't be special programmed in the case of Rosa to be really focused on her limit burst, which, speaking of which, her limit burst is just kind of a very short range surrounding around her. It does heal HP and regenerate AP, so it's going to be, I think, really strong, but we can already see that one of the limitations on this limit burst is the range of it. Not a lot. Definitely not as good as probably Ayaka's in terms of healing, just because of just how the range is on it. It's specifically directly around her, so you're going to have to keep your units relatively close if you want to get that limit burst. I expect her AI will probably pop the limit burst if she gets under a percentage HP, but that is not confirmed at this point. That is my guess. Continuing on, I think that probably looking at that her main job seems to be more focused on DPS right now. I'm probably going to say, and some support as well, I'm going to say that running her as Black Mage is probably perfectly good. You could probably run her as White Mage as well, but I don't think her AI is going to prioritize healing spells. Something worth noting. Either way, the range... this is going to be kind of a little bit of a bet, but the fact that her limit burst is so short range, the fact that it is specifically units around her, I'm going to say that this limit burst is going to be incredibly powerful. I think that if it generates approximately 30 or 40 AP per every unit it is used on, since limit bursts are only one use per battle, that seems pretty possible at this point. If not higher, it could be 50 or 60. I'd say that she still should be the most powerful healer in the entire game, but more offensive focused, which if you have problems with Ayaka's AI, you probably will be jumping for joy. Anyway, continuing on, we have Demon Wall. Demon Wall and Demon Wall's card. So let's take a look at Demon Wall's card first of all. Individual ability is Darkness Attack up, and party ability is Pierce Attack up and Slash Damage down. This card could not be more tailor-made for any Dragoon, but specifically Kane. This card is 100% got Kane written all over it. It is an incredible card. I think that this would be great on any Dragoon-focused or Spear-focused team. If you had Glassy, Victoria, if you had Eileen, if you had like an entire team of Spear characters, this reduces all of the slash damage, increases the entire party's piercing, does not interfere with individual piercing cards, and then you also just get a individual dark up for Kane as well. This card seems unbelievably amazing support for Dragoons and Spear users all around. As for the Demon Wall himself, as you can see, looks like it is sharing Kilfa, or Kairufi, or whatever you want to call her. It seems like it's supporting the exact same kind of attack range on it. Something to note is that it is large damage, and it is non-elemental damage too. So, interesting. We might have our second non-elemental summon here, seeing that Odin also was non-elemental, and just the elemental attack seems to be not that. Other than that, seems like it weakens the enemies and boosts your team with the summon field effects, so that's great too. Continuing on, there will be, of course, the usual hard quest for shards, providing you get the character super early. And last but not least, Rosa gets the benefit from this event. By spending Lapis in-game, you will be able to get some bonus Rosa shards. Probably in the shop, we will see a bonus option for getting a few extra Kane shards as well. But if you were looking for Rosa, now, you know, getting those shards is going to give you a bit of a boost. Continuing on, we will be seeing some new maps enter the fray as the month changes for JP. Nothing surprising there. As well, we have the book schedule for the entire month, starting from the 1st till the 31st. Plan accordingly to what you need to farm for what kind of weapons you are building. And last but not least, the point detail, which came out yesterday. The point event, if you are on the global side, you have not experienced this yet. You will in about the time of the half anniversary. Here is what you can look forward to. This event, basically you do a bunch of repeated stages multiple times to get boss tickets as well as event points, using those event points to get specific rewards and unlocking the boss, who looks like it will be Golbez. Golbez will be the boss here, and it is primarily thought to be Spear-based weakness this time. But continuing on, you can also pull, you will get special coins that you can then pull from a box system to get recipes for both a brand new spear and a brand new bow. The bow is expected to be magic to synergize with Rosa, and the spear will probably be some kind of synergy with, of course, Kane. So probably a dark damaging spear elemental. It also seems to make note of potentially some +2s that you'll be able to get by participating in the event, but we shall see. Now, the other thing that's really interesting about this, if you've ever played Brave Exvius, you'll know that there are certain events where you get bonuses, and that is exactly what it happens in the point event. Bringing in specific units along to either the boss fight or the regular farming stages will net you some extra bonus currency and reward points in the event. Cecil, Kain, and Rosa are getting the extreme bonus, so having all three of them and having them all three to be able to compete in difficult content will get you the biggest bonus possible, so you can help out your score, and well, the score of your guild too, and I'll talk about that in a second. But big bonus also goes to Eileen and Victoria, and the medium-sized bonus goes to Shell and Ramada, and last but not least, a insignificant bonus. Mont gets a very, very small bonus for anybody who doesn't have any of these characters, but Mont's bonus is pretty small. Usually you're better to run a more optimal team. So yes, in point events, and ow, I nearly ripped that out of my ear. Something to note about point events, you are competing for points for both your individual score as well as your guild score, so the more stamina pots you buy, the more stamina pots you use, the better off everyone will be because. But yeah, from previous time on, unless there have been any improvements, the general thing is that you are rated on how well your performance is during the fights. Quicker kills, more elemental chains, more damage, blah, 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 blah. But doing all of that will net you a better score, and then bonus units give a modifier to help increase your score upwards. So having all of the best units is the best approach overall, but not necessary to participate in the event. It's just an extra thing. And that's why we basically know, also getting back to the bonus units, that this event will be heavily spear focused, because we have Kane, Eileen, Ramada, and Victoria all as bonus units, which very much points to the fact that the boss is probably going to be incredibly weak to get in a spear through the head. And, I mean, who isn't? Also, the JP side will be looking to the beginning of the month to get the shards in the Moogle Exchange Metal Shop. For anybody who does not know what I'm talking about, this one right here, where you are able to exchange extra soul medals, so that'll be getting changed over too. Hopefully some newer characters and some potentially rarer characters as well will be introduced. But yes, so that is basically all of the JP news for today. Tomorrow we'll probably see what the banners look like, if there are any guaranteeds, any step-ups, and of course there will be guaranteeds and step-ups in some flavor or form. So the last thing to say to close out this is I will be streaming on Friday, late night Friday at 11 p.m. Japanese Standard Time, as a countdown to both Kain and Rosa and the event starting, and then I will be streaming a little bit later too, test out those characters and see what those characters look like. So if you're very interested, please join me on live stream on Friday to check out the final information, verdict, all that good stuff. And of course, I'll make a video about my thoughts on them later. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Tell me, are you interested in Kain or Rosa? How were your Warrior of Light pulls? Let me know in the comments below, and take care, stay healthy, see you next time.